Hi everyone, and welcome to the first vlog of 2019. I haven't been around much lately because I've been very busy. I've got a new job, and I kind of made a resolution to myself not to spend as much time scrolling through social media. And yes, that is kind of counterproductive to what we're trying to do with getting these documentaries out there, getting the information out there, because they sort of go hand in hand, don't they? But at the same time, I just found myself for hours and hours, like a lot of you probably are watching this now, just scrolling up and down, reading absolute garbage. And although I've got a lot of great friends who support me and some really interesting groups that I'm part of on Facebook, I do try and limit it. You will notice, if you care, that I just don't try not to be on there at the moment. I think that is going to change, because ultimately you sort of taking a step back. You sort of spend years building up that sort of profile and getting your work out there, and you build that interest, and then you sort of hit a wall with it in some respects, that Facebook is quite a negative place. And I know I've said this before. So we'll just have to, I'm just going to have to learn to play ball a little bit more with Facebook. But I certainly won't be logging on as often, because it's just an absolute time waster, time that can be better spent working on new projects, spending time with family, whatever it might be. Anything but looking at pictures of cats and other pointless rows about non-entities in the ufological world. Anyway, so where are we up to project-wise? So many of you know that the project that I spent the last 2 years working on, Elusive, is out. I put that out. It's gone really well, the feedback. I'm really chuffed with the feedback. And although for my liking, that I felt the film was a little bit too long, I thought, I had to respect all the people that helped out on that project. So the 90 minutes, which is how long it is, sort of encompasses that whole journey. But there will be stuff coming from that 2 years of filming that is unseen, and bits and bats of stuff will be coming out soon. But for the most part, feedback on the production itself, the quality of the production, has been really positive. So I'm really happy with that. It's sort of like the first thing I've done where I'm sort of, yeah, you can tell it's done on a budget, of course, but I'm pretty chuffed with the feedback. And that's down to a lot of you guys that helped out with this. So you should be proud of yourselves, because I'm pretty proud of it, I have to say. I wish I had a little bit more money to throw at it, but it's going forward. That's sort of where we're heading next. So what am I up to next? Well, many of you will know that I've been working with Paul Sinclair on and off for the last 2 years. We've been producing quite a lot of stuff together, and many of you might have seen The Bempton Phenomena, which was an unplanned 50-minute documentary that we just threw together off the cuff. And it's titled on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, it's called, if you type in YouTube, UK Skinwalker Ranch, you'll get a link to the documentary. It's on one of the Zohar Stargate channels. And the views on that are absolutely hundreds of thousands of views. It's really, some good feedback on it. Some questions about showing evidence, which, I've said this before, we can't show mutilated animals in our videos on YouTube. You just can't. It's a really quick way to get yourself kicked off, and we don't want that. So if you want to see those images, many of you might have seen Paul Sinclair's lectures at the Outer Limits conference. Paul will be lecturing, I'm sure, again at Outer Limits or another conference, and I'm sure eventually Paul's probably going to end up in the US at one of the big conferences, because that seems to be the interest in Paul's work and research is growing, and rightly so. But I think the UK in general, there's a lot of researchers in the UK where the research seems to be, getting well known. I think we're getting a bit more respect than we used to. And I think we decided to follow up off the success of the UK Skinwalker Ranch sort of documentary. And it's called that because Bempton and the surrounding area share much, if not more, phenomena than than the Skinwalker Ranch itself. Now, yes, there are a lot of secrets about Skinwalker Ranch that we won't get to hear. Of that much I'm certain. But if you watch the film, you're not really going to learn anything you didn't know. And in essence, what we are going to produce and show as evidence in Bringing Down the Light, which is the production we're working on now, due for release this spring, hopefully. You're going to be blown away, I think, by some of the stuff that we've got. I mean, it's just so bizarre how these things work out. We went, Paul really has been working on this story about the animal mutilations up there and the lights at sea and then the lights in the field and the animal killings and UFO sightings, you name it, missing men, you name it. He's been looking at that for getting on close to 20 years, way before David Paulides was looking at the missing persons thing. So it made sense really to sort of try and do Bempton justice. But what's happened is, since we focused our attention on putting this film out, we've just been inundated with accounts that are just, I think when you get to hear about these accounts, you're just going to be blown away by it, because we're just blown away by it. These are accounts in Bempton, in and around Bempton and Hunmanby, that sort of area. It's 5, 6, 7 mile square radius area that's just this latest account that's been given to Paul. It's just incredible, really, and I hope that we can, if we don't include it in Bringing Down the Light, it will probably be its own documentary, because it's akin to the Rendlesham Forest incident. It's akin to Roswell. It's that sort of account. And yeah, so stay tuned for more on that. We've got an account of a fairy. We've got footage of this fairy, which is just this couple that have given us permission to use this and talk about this. They're really trustworthy. I really trust them. Paul trusts them. They're just not the sort of couple. They're a great couple, actually, and they're not the sort of couple that would lie. They're just not. And then we got other stuff about these missing men cases. The Raymond Johnson case that we're including in the film is just a case where you're just left scratching your head as to, one, how it can be passed off as a simple case of an accident when everything but is being screamed at you from the witnesses, the officers even that investigated that case. So that, and obviously the core, the thread running through this film is obviously Paul's investigation over the last year with these animals, where over 60 animals now have been killed in what has been dubbed the UK Skinwalker Ranch. Not by us. And then of course you've got RAF Bempton, which is at the heart of all this, with the cult that was operating allegedly. Well, it's not alleged, it was operating there, and we can prove it. So we've got just so much to sort of include in this doc. So much so that these recent few stories that have come up in the last sort of month or so, we may have to leave other things out that we were, or even probably cut down on certain parts of the animal investigation, even, because even that, what you'll see us investigating these things live on, it's all done. It's filmed as it happened. We go to spots where the animals were found, and we're having radiation spikes that are just going off the meter. We've been walking around with this Geiger counter for days on end, and then we happened to go in the exact spot where Paul found a deer, and this thing's off the radar. I mean, the chances of that happening, it's just uncanny. It really is. So that's almost finished. I mean, I say almost finished. There is some sort of bits of cinematography that we've still got to do. we're trying to piece it together and trying to. It's such a strange place with so much varied phenomena that it might feel when watching it that we're just bouncing around all over the place, and that's because we are. Paul's getting these accounts that are just coming one after the other, from abduction accounts to UFO accounts, morphing UFOs, to lights in the sky, to creatures being seen in bunkers, to cryptids being seen in demon-like creatures in the fields, and men in black, and it's just a bizarre. You wouldn't actually believe it. It's one of those places that you wouldn't actually. I mean, we are going to get those comments. There's no way this is true. Look, we're just going to present the accounts, and anyone that knows Paul pretty much knows that he's just not a bullshitter. Sorry for using that terminology, but he's just not. So I think you can be certain that one, it's been investigated thoroughly, which is what Paul's tried to do with all these cases. And two, we're just presenting it as raw as possible. We're not putting any spins on it. Even Paul's research, even when we're out there, you know, many of you will know that I've been up a few times and spent a few days up there with Paul. You know, we're up before the sun, let's say, in these places in the pitch black. You know, we've got thermal cameras and night vision, and just trying to, you know, just do our best to, you know, answer all those queries really from the UK Skinwalker Ranch documentary. When we put that on, we were bombarded with comments. You guys need thermal cameras. You guys need infrared. Well, we had, the only thing we didn't really have previously was a thermal camera, and so we took a really high-end £6,000 thermal camera with us to sort of, you know, just tick another box, because we took everything else that we could. And anyone will know that looks into this stuff is that if it was that easy to catch this phenomena, then you know, you'd be watching this type of documentary, and you know, maybe more of Jeremy Corbell's films, you know, similar to the Skinwalker Ranch. He would have produced more evidence, but that team, NIDS, were having the same problems we're having. With all the thousands of pounds worth of equipment, they still couldn't catch the phenomena. But I can tell you that we have caught the phenomena, and some of our witnesses have caught phenomena that you're going to get to see. Of course, what it is, I mean, that's for you to determine. We give our opinions based on what we know, and they're only our opinions. They're not, you know, who are we? But I think when you've been in and around the phenomena for as long as Paul has, anyway, and you know, we consult other researchers. You know, there's a lot of people that we consult on this sort of stuff that don't get a mention, that are very well known and highly credible, and we always put our information by them, through them. What do they think? What do they advise? And we try to follow their advice, and in the end, you're dealing with something out of your control. That's essentially all I can say, and I've waffled on for far too long. This was supposed to be a 3-minute update. So here's a quick update with Paul Sinclair.
Okay, well, I'm stood here today on a very cold February morning. I've been here since first light, which is something I've done for a few years now, many days of the week around this eastern North Yorkshire, trying to gather clues and see what's happening in this, what we call the affected area, where lots of unexplained phenomena are occurring or manifesting. Now, I just thought it might be a good time to give you an update on the position that we're at with the documentary that I'm doing with Christopher Turner, Bringing Down the Light. It's ongoing. We're still interviewing people. We've interviewed so far probably 8 people, first-hand witnesses to unexplained phenomena, who've sat in front of a camera and spoken to us. Some of them have only confirmed things that have been going off, such as the satanic cult. It's just adding to the confirmation. Others have brought to the table some incredible bits of information and even footage. a couple's kindly given us some footage of a fairy. I never thought that I would be discussing such a thing. I mean, most of my stuff is UFO related, but I think when you actually see what they've presented before us and on film, you will be quite surprised. It is worth inclusion. We've got people talking about the light forms, the spheres of light that are seen out at sea and over on the East Yorkshire Wolds and in North Yorkshire. We've got a guy who sat down and told us about something that he could only describe as a demon. And he's seen this at Caton, very close to the Cars, the dried up lake bed of Flixton Star Car and Caton, where all the stories of the Flixton werewolf originate from. So as you can see from what I'm talking about now, bringing down the light is going to cover a full spectrum of unexplained phenomena. It is not just going to appeal to the UFO fraternity. So me and Chris are hopeful that what we're going to present is going to, hopefully appeal to everybody. Thank you.
So there you go, there you have it. That's probably how an update should be done. Yeah, so stay tuned. I'm going to probably try and post a bit more than I am doing. What I will say is also on the project I have, we've got some guys helping us out in various areas with bits of marketing and stuff like that. And then we've got Ronald Kinsella, who's helping us with some of the artwork to depict some of these cryptid creatures and hopefully some of the UFOs that have been seen. So thank you everybody for putting up with my latest waffle, and I will speak to you guys soon.